Okay, picks and props with Brady Quinn and Danny Kanell. Let's start with anytime touchdown score tonight. Danny, you're always here to give us a little bit of value, aren't you?
I am. I'm always looking for the best return on your investment. And I think a lot of people would look at A.J. Brown as an opportunity for a sure thing, which maybe he is. He's had 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games. But I think also what you have to look at is if that's the case, then the Washington Commanders clearly going to come up with a game plan to shut him down, which opens up the opportunity for Devontae Smith. So for me, I went to Devontae Smith at plus 600. A little bit lower on the board, but not that low.
He's not even on this board.
Yeah,
I love it.
Exactly.
Brady going with low-hanging fruit.
He's plus 165.
There he is, plus 165.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of the first touchdown score. This is anytime touchdown
anytime,
score.
6-1.
Yeah. Although that screen says something different.
Wait, what? So, no, okay.
Chris, cut out of the conversation, Chris. We're talking about anytime touchdown score.
Is anytime touchdown, and on my rundown,
Yeah, mine too.
it says 6-1.
But I think that was for the
But you're
first
right.
time.
It would not be 6-1. That would be
Plus 165
Go
is
ahead,
still pretty
Brady.
good money. Let's see what Brady comes up with.
I've got Jalen Hurts at plus 135, so looking for some value there. I've been going chalky of late with some of these picks, but they've been hitting, so I've got to go chalky here. Hurts clearly gives you the ability with running the football, in particular down in the red zone, to get into the end zone. That's been a problem, too, for Washington this year. Still not having Chase Young back in that defensive front. So I think Hurts finds the end zone at some point in time, either via a scramble on a passing play or potentially a designed run to get in the end zone.
All right, so Hurts plus 135, and what was old Devontae Smith? Plus
165.
165. All right, we'll correct that for next hour. Let's move on to the outcome of the Eagles' first drive.
Now, if this was the outcome of the first drive in the second quarter, I would say touchdown, because that's when the Eagles absolutely crush it. But because that is not the prop we're discussing, I'll say it ends in a field goal, the first drive of a game. This Eagles team has been so impressive. I think they'll come out strong. I think they'll march the ball right down the field. But it's always a little bit tougher feeling out the opponents, what their red zone defense is going to be. I think they have to settle for a field goal on that first one for a pretty nice return at plus 420.
The best part about that is they don't even have to make it, right?
Exactly.
That was actually what I was looking at. I was like, it doesn't even matter if they make it. As long as they attempt one, you're there in the money. And what bothers me about it, though, is you get more value out of the field goal attempt. Clearly, the favorite here is for Philly just to drive down the field and score a touchdown. So it's a bit concerning. I know, Danny, you talked about the second quarter, they've been fast. Really, the first half of games, though, they've been fast. So that's a little concerning in this one, but I've got a field goal attempt as well. There's just too much value there with that. And I do think at this point in time in the season, two teams who know each other well, divisional rivals, maybe there's a stall at some point in time in that first drive that forces the field goal.
These two teams met up in September. Obviously, the Eagles won that game. Jalen Hurts was really good through 3 touchdown passes in that game. His over-under touchdown passes tonight, 1.5.
I'm going to say he goes over. I mean, he's playing as good as anybody right now, and he's starting to creep up those MVP lists and getting into that top 3. And I think they're showcasing what he can do through the air. I mean, it was a big question mark. Would he be able to put this team on his back? And as you mentioned, Chris, the last time these two faced each other, the 3 touchdown passes were through the air. I think the thing about it, it sets up so many opportunities. The way they're able to run the football, including Jalen Hurts himself, opens up the door for big play opportunities. And Jalen Hurts, to his credit, has been capitalizing on almost all those shot plays that they dial up. And I think tonight won't be any different. So I'll say he gets at least 2.
Oh, he's getting 2 in this one. I mean, you're talking about the Washington Commanders. They're the bottom half of the league in pass defense. They've struggled a bit there. And for starters, this is just a tough matchup, I think, for any defense. When you've got the mix of pass catchers like the Eagles have, with obviously A.J. Brown, as you talked about, you still can't get over that 3 touchdown performance versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Devontae Smith, too, his speed, Goddard as well at the tight end spot, even the running back side of the backfield. There's so many weapons, and let alone you always have to be concerned with Hurts taking off on a pass play and becoming a runner. So I think all those things end up making them a difficult matchup for any team. I'm taking the over of 1.5 touchdown passes for Hurts tonight.
All right, moving to Miles Sanders. His rushing total, 68.5. He's only been under that 2 games this season. But, Danny, one of those games was against the Commanders.
That's one of the reasons I'm fading it here, too. I think also you're seeing some depth emerge in this Eagles backfield, including, Kenneth Gainwell, but also Jalen Hurts. And his ability to run the football is really why I think you'll see Miles Sanders go under this number. He'll have a good game. It'll be close to it, but you can't shut down all these weapons. And I think if you choose one, you're going to say, all right, do we want the quarterback running and beating us? Yes, you can take some shots on him, and he won't hurt you quite as much as Miles Sanders will. So I'll go ahead and say it's under the 68.5.
I've got him going over here, and in part because I think Sanders is more of the running back between the two, where a game where you want to get more in the passing game and some of those touches out in space. So maybe a different story if we were talking about these scrimmage yards in this game. But as far as rushing yards go, I think Sanders, who's just kind of been on that hot streak, is going to take care of business tonight, hit the over in rushing yards.
All right, to the other side, the Washington Commanders, we're just going to hit one player. It's Terry McLaurin. His receiving yard total, 52.5. He went nearly double that in the first matchup.
I think he goes over this one again, too. I don't know if he goes double this, but I think in a game where you could see the Washington Commanders playing catch-up, if the game unfolds the way almost every single Eagles game has unfolded this year, as the only undefeated team in the league, I think you'll see an opportunity for McLaurin to get some of those, even garbage time, where he can go over this number pretty easily. He's a tough matchup. He's one of the best parts and one of the best players on this Washington Commanders team, and I think Taylor Heineke knows that. It's one of his favorite targets, so I'll say he goes over.
Yeah, this is one that I'm going to take the over on. I think it's probably going to be coming in the second half where they're garbage time, having to come back after the Eagles build a lead, and you get some of those easy dink and dunk completions, yards after the catch, where McLaurin hits the over on this one. So clearly there's going to have to be someone creating some production on this offense for the Commanders. McLaurin's going to be the guy.
You saw a few of the props the same, but you guys see the game line and the total completely cross-eyed here. You're totally going the other way here. Danny, which side are you on?
So I think this is too many points for a division rival, and I know we saw these teams face before, but I think the Washington Commanders are a better football team with Taylor Heineke out there. I think he's been more competitive in almost every game that he's been the starter, and I think they'll continue that trend. I also think that this number is just massive, and I think the Eagles, as good as they are, they haven't been that great in the second half because they've gotten out to these leads and they've kind of sat on them. I think that opens the door wide open for the backdoor cover on both ends. Not only the Washington cover the 11, but also to go over the 43.5 in this one. I also think it's interesting because Brady was on a lot of those overs in our props, and yet he's under on the total.
He sees a lot of field goal attempts, maybe.
Props were for, though. We talked about all Eagles players. So clearly I've got the Eagles scoring enough points to be able to cover the number, but not necessarily talking about the Commanders doing as much, with the exception of McLaurin in receiving yards. So that's more of the logic behind it. But I've got the Eagles taking care of business. It's a big number. It's a big number for a reason. They're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL right now. And I think there's some glaring mismatches, not only between the secondary and the passing attack of the Eagles, but also that offensive line for the Washington Commanders going up against that front for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it could be a long night for that group. Taylor Heineke isn't necessarily the most prolific passer. He's more mobile than Carson Wentz. You've seen that decrease in sacks, but not necessarily bringing quite as much to the rushing attack. Maybe a first down or two throughout the course of the game, but by and large, he's just done a better job of taking care of the football. So I've got the Eagles laying the points here. I think they take care of business in a big win, continue their momentum, and again, under that number where you could see this game being somewhere around 30-7, 30-10. I just don't see a whole lot of points from the Commanders in this one.
Okay, Brady burying the Commanders before they even take the field tonight. We've got more pregame coverage coming for Monday Night Football as the Eagles look to remain perfect on CBS Sports HQ beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm always interested to see who they put on these graphics. Charles Davis, Bryant McFadden, Ryan Wilson.
That looks accurate.
No Danny, no Brady,
I don't think
no
so.
Pete Prisco. Yeah, okay. All right.
They brought out the A-team tonight. We're on the bench for tonight.
Good to see Charles Davis in on the action. Sportsline, you can join for $1 for your first month anyway, if you use that promo code TROPHY. Sportsline.com/join.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.